sands on the seashore, and more numerous than stars in the sky. This is how the Creator explained to Abraham that his seed would become. And this number throws off a lot of people because they think, okay, well, if we've got to be that numerous, it's billions and billions. And it actually means something vastly more simple than that. So let's go through these verses and where they are important. In Genesis 22:17, the Creator says, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as on the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies. In 32:12, he puts out the same thing. But you have said, I will surely make you prosper and will make your descendants like the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted. And a lot of people just look at that and they think, oh, wow, okay, well, then there's got to be billions and however many this great number is that's going back. No. And let's examine that. We have two aspects here, okay? And they're both a quantitative event of this high number, okay? The one is sand on the seashore, and the other is stars in the sky. Did you realize that's the number he used to describe those in the first Exodus? So, instead of me just saying that, let's pull those up. Okay? What we have is Deuteronomy 1:10. The Lord your God has increased your numbers so that you today are as numerous as stars in the sky. We just heard the first Exodus is numerous as the stars in the sky. Deuteronomy 10:22. Your ancestors who went down into Egypt were 70 in all, and now the Lord your God has made you as numerous as the stars in the sky. And Deuteronomy 28:62. You who were as numerous as stars in the sky will be left but few in numbers because you did not obey the Lord your God. So, we know that those in the first Exodus were as numerous as stars in the sky. Now let's look for the same issue with sands on the seashore. We don't have that in Torah. But we do have it describing some issues thereafter. And the first one we have is actually not even describing our group at all, but another group that comes out to do war with us, and that's in Joshua 11:4. They came out with all their troops and a large number of horses and chariots, a huge army as numerous as sand on the seashore. Back then, do you think that was 1 billion people? How about 10 million people? I don't think so. But it was a large army. In Judges 7:12, the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the other eastern people had settled in the valley, thick as locusts. Their camels, just their camels, could no more be counted than the sand of the seashore. Got a problem here. And then in 1 Samuel 13:5, the Philistines assembled to fight Israel. There were 3,000 chariots, and soldiers were as numerous as the sand on the seashore. They went up at Michmash east of Beth Aven. So, if you only have 3,000 chariots, how many people do you think they had as in the army? Maybe 50,000? I would think that's probably a good number. Excuse me. No more than a few million. Sorry, eating popcorn before starting this. But again, it's not this tremendous amount. So with that being said, let me ask you this, because there's a very easy explanation to this. If you look out on the tree, how many leaves do you see? Can you count them? And the answer is no, because your brain doesn't work that way. He knows the number of hairs on our head. Can we count them? No, because our brain doesn't work that way. Our brain is not able to comprehend large numbers of people or large numbers of items. It just doesn't work that way. And there's a science around that with regards to crowd numerology. Any large crowd, they'll try to give an estimate of how many people are in the crowd, but they can't really know. And so the actual way they do that is they break the crowd down into a certain size arrangement, which they can do by grids, and they'll count a small section of it, and they just estimate that that same number will be plus or minus the same in each grid. And that's how they actually number crowds, because nobody can sit there and try to count them. Our brains just don't work that way. So when we go back on the X's, and we'll be as numerous as the stars in the sky, or as we could even say sands on the seashore, does that make any determination that we're greater than the first X's? No, because he told us the first X's was numbered that way as number 1. If it weren't for the fact he gave us a number of how much it would be, it could even be lower than that. You know, again, from 2 Samuel, 1 Samuel with the Philistines, I'm assuming that there are only 50,000 in that army. It doesn't say. It just says more numerous than the sands on the seashore. But it's not some billion number. You know, it's just, they didn't have that many people on Earth back then. It's just a statement of saying more than our mind can comprehend. And our mind cannot comprehend 50,000 people. It's more than our minds can count. 100,000 people, what's the difference? One side's a little bit larger than the other. But we can't go through and count that. It's just not possible for us. Our mind has no possible way of dealing with 1 million, let alone 2 or 3 million.